guys? It's your boy Benny. You know that we're big fans of Vivek, and we've always enjoyed a good Alex Jones clip on this program. And so the two of them sitting down together will make history. I don't think Alex Jones, since Donald Trump in 2016, has interviewed another presidential candidate. Vivek Ramaswamy sat down with Alex for a nearly 1 hour long interview. They talked about a 1776 moment, the ruling class elites, and Sean Hannity doing the bidding of those ruling class elites. Vivek did not hold back. Alex Jones, of course, never holds back. And the two of them had an absolutely fascinating conversation that I thought was interesting from stem to stern, but we went through and we clipped out some of our favorite parts of the interview, put them together for you. I think you'll find this absolutely illuminating. If you don't have the hour to watch the full interview, check this out. It'll make you really say, damn, we live in the greatest timeline. Watch.
Remember when Obama went to Latin America the last few months of his administration?
Term, yep.
Then he went to a bunch of countries in Africa, and he gave the same speech, Vivek, in every country. He said, quote, "You can't have cars and air conditioning. The world's going to heat up and burn up." Now, here's a guy flying on a giant jet with dozens of aircraft. After that, he has private jets. He has houses at basically sea level in Martha's Vineyard and Hawaii, yeah. Though he said we were already supposed to be underwater by 2017, though they keep just buying Al Gore, all of them, oceanfront property, right, not up on cliffs or something, like Martha's Vineyard.
They're bearing that cross.
Absolutely.
They're bearing that cross for the rest of us.
Well, I mean, that's it. They're on private jets. People like Ted Turner has like 5 kids. He says, I want to depopulate 90% of the world's population. Mm-hmm. Look it up. Him on Charlie Rose. Well, he has 5 kids. He has jets. He has palatial compounds. But you in Africa, you can't aspire. You need to live in this will eat the bugs, WEF, rationing for the good of the earth, while the ruling class lives like kings and goes around in their giant super yachts.
To mountaintops in Davos.
With carbon footprints thousands of times an American, and an American's carbon footprint is 30, 40, 50 times than somebody in Congo. Yep. So in Congo, you don't get anything, and so it's the decision to not industrialize those countries, and that's how they control third world countries. And then they sit back and say, well, that's why you're in squalor, because you're not as good as us. We're going to take care of you. But now that same inherent elitism beyond racism is now being used against the West, and they're now impoverishing the West as a political tool of control.
Yeah, so this is the modern old world European ugly monster rearing its head again.
Yes.
Which is fascinating, right? Because we fought a revolution. We thought that in 1776, we said on this side of 1776, on this side of the Atlantic, we do things differently. Where, you know what, we the people do sort out our differences in a constitutional republic where every citizen's voice and vote counts equally with free speech and open debate. That's what we thought. And every little while, that ugly monster rears its head again. World War I was in some ways the physical conflict of that old world European monarchical worldview.
Well, that was because the British Empire, who was the villain in that war, not in World War II, Hitler was the bad guy there after the Versailles Treaty, they literally said the German problem, the Austrian-Hungarian Empire, because it was dominant in industry, science. It was taken over not with the military, but with all of its inventions. So it was kind of the new America, but it was run by another royal family. So they had to kill the Archduke Franz Ferdinand and start World War I, so you're dead on.
And so this battle plays itself out every century or so in different ways. And I think right now we live in another one of these 1776 moments.
Fourth turning.
Yeah, that's one way to put it. I'm familiar with the.
It's dead on.
And
let's use the analogy of America, the United States, and India. I call it, I've been saying this for 20 plus years, that's why they do want me off air. You ask, what do I stand for? Americana, freedom, soft power, people aspiring to be like America, making us the best.
American exceptionalism.
American exceptionalism. Take India. Controlled by the British, kick them out, now wildly successful. Because you guys actually got control of your government, had your own resources. Same thing. I would call that 1776 worldwide. And that's not America controlling things. It's the idea of freedom, idea of the people, the idea of loving your nation, empowering the individual, and a meritocracy where, because I looked at who used to be
meritocracy, what a word. Well, it's a bad word these days.
It is world order. That's global.
But it's actually the old world order.
It is. You're right.
It's really just the old world order in new world clothing.
That's exactly it.
And that's what we got to understand. And so the optimistic side of me says that what a special time it would have been to be alive in the spring of 1776. I mean, it was a special time to be alive. You got Thomas Jefferson, the age of 33. People say I'm old. I'm young. Well, I'm old compared to Thomas Jefferson. He was 33 when he wrote the Declaration of Independence.
Genius.
You have people who were the pioneers, the explorers, the unafraid, that said, you know what, we are going to not just be victimized by this. We're going to chart a new way forward.
Well, 33
That's
was
the
old.
moment we live in.
I totally agree. 33 was old back then because a lot of people died young. You either die young or live a really long time, but the average was we didn't live as long. You're absolutely right. People were married by 16. People were explorers by 16. And Thomas Jefferson lived a long time, but by 33, he was leading a revolution against an empire that had never been defeated.
And he was inventing things. He was an engineer. He invented the swivel chair, invented a bunch of other things too, while he's writing the Declaration of Independence. That spirit, in some ways, would history have produced the Thomas Jeffersons and the Alexander Hamiltons of the world if it weren't for the fact that they had this oppressive regime to stand up against? I think probably not.
No, I totally agree. You're talking about the
so this is an opportunity, the moment we live in. Because I am sick and tired, even myself, of you may have, I don't know if you've read some of the books I've written or anything like this, of pointing out the problem. I've done plenty of that. But this is our opportunity now. We're not just going to throw up our hands and complain about it. So that's I think that's what our pro-American movement needs to learn is we've been lied to 360 degrees so much that it can create the first form of laziness is just believing what you're force-fed. But now our movement understands that you got to reject whatever you're force-fed. And I don't care if it's even force-fed by mainstream establishment on the left or on the right or whatever. Reject what you're force-fed.
Question everything.
Question everything is phase one. But then at some point, you're not going to get anywhere just by sitting and questioning. That's the first step. So that's what I'm saying. We've seen the problem with clear eyes. We understand the Pharaoh. We understand to be skeptical. Now I get this. I'm not coming from a place of personal frustration, but when I'm coming on the scene aiming to lead this nation forward, people say, well, you came out of nowhere. Didn't you work at start a biotech company? And at some point I'm going to say, listen, people, once we see the problem with clear eyes, we can't just spin our wheels and throw our hands up. We need competent leaders who share our understanding of the problem.
Well, plus the whole power
to actually move this country forward.
The whole power structure came after you. Then they did that whisper campaign that you were really secretly establishment because you're going around networking. I mean, I've met with Bilderberg Group members. I've met with people that are in Davos. Doesn't mean I agree with them, but the whole and you're not endorsing their system.
Hell no,
you're not. So, but the system has come after you.
Yes.
You've been the main target the last two debates. That's the endorsement. Just like people go, wait, they're indicting Trump for no reason. That endorses him. You are the next biggest targeted person.
Do you see this Hannity interview last night by chance?
No, I missed it.
Oh, man. Yeah, I mean, look, I'm making the case. I think it's sane that on one hand, absolutely Israel is our ally. What happened to them was wrong. It was barbaric. It was medieval. And of course, they have a right to national self-defense. But I've also said that we should not want to enter a broader regional conflict in the Middle East that doesn't advance U.S. interests because we have to learn from our prior mistakes in this country. And that's arguably not good for Israel, but it's definitely not good for the United States. And so I also pointed to others in the Republican Party, like Nikki Haley, who screech, finish them, talking about Hamas and Iran as though there's no distinction. Finish them. Okay, what are the consequences of that for the United States of America?
I didn't see it. Well, here's the
problem. If we take an
problem.
emotional action, so I think so interestingly, this guy Hannity, I was very disappointed, comes after me for pointing out that Nikki Haley has made $8 million after her time as the U.S. ambassador to the UN as a military contractor and otherwise. I mean, that was the wake up call for me, is to see even a purported conservative voice buy into what is the captured establishment super PAC puppetry last night. You should watch this one.
I will. Let me say something.
It was unbelievable.
I'm powerful. Let me say something to Sean Hannity because I know him. Hey, Sean, the border's been completely wide open for 2.5 years. The Border Patrol admits tens of thousands conservatively of Hezbollah and Hamas fighters have gotten across. They've caught a bunch of them. Okay, these are 90% military-age men. Do you know what Hamas will do? They're here in our country. You know what Hezbollah will do? So
it's in the United States of America that we need to worry about.
Look at Black Lives Matter endorsing the attacks on Israel. So we have this problem, and Iran has high-tech military. And it's not that I'm, quote, scared of Iran, but we need to support Israel, but obviously not have our aircraft carriers attack Iran. And then now we're fighting Russia through NATO and we're fighting Iran. What's going to happen, Sean? Use your head. This is how World War III starts, just like World War I and World War II. Once World War start, other people say, hey, they're tied down. China is going to go into Taiwan, dummy. And we can't take on China too.
And the saddest part of this is that if there are Republican presidential candidates who stand to make money off of it, because they're on the boards or have been on the boards of Boeing and are collecting stock options while they're running for president and have had family military contracting businesses and made a habit of making money off their time in government. This is why we have one crime family right now in the Biden family that has sold off our foreign policy to make their family rich. I could care less if you have an R after your name
or a D.
And you're going to do the same thing.
And that's why it's so refreshing when you're on the stage. Because literally, we've said this on air, we've covered it live. I was doing it with Stephen Crowder. I'm like, Vivek's the only guy I can listen to. This is all talking points, crap. They're all going to do what the military-industrial complex says. And again, military-industrial complex, they said a year ago with Biden in December, we can't give tanks and F-16s and cruise missiles. That'll escalate to World War III. But they went ahead and violated their own RAND Corporation threat escalation boards. So see, your money's not going to be worth anything in your golf course stock options if we have World War III cuckoo. And now China is messing with India. India's got aircraft carriers out there about to go to war. Pakistan will...
We are marching our way to World War III. I am increasingly worried that there are people in the United States rooting for it. And this is our moment to say, hey, we can actually, now we've seen the problem. We can't just spin our wheels and complain about it. We have a chance to lead this country to shut down the deep state, declare independence from China, end World War III and our path to it, protect our own homeland because that's our job and the moral obligation.
Peace, prosperity, American way.
And then pride. And revive pride in this country. And I think that we have a chance to do it.